Have you ever felt utterly consumed by a feeling, a passion so intense it warped your perception of reality? It's a familiar experience, a potent cocktail of exhilaration and anxiety that can leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. But what if that very passion, that all-consuming allure, was a carefully constructed illusion, a trap laid by the very fabric of existence? This isn't a tale of heartbreak, but a profound exploration of existential disappointment, a journey into the shadowy corners of human experience where the very things we cherish, beauty, affection, love, become instruments of a relentless, predetermined cycle. We're diving into the philosophical depths of pessimism, exploring the perspective of Arthur Schopenhauer, a man who saw romantic love not as a triumph, but as a burdensome snare. He believed that love, in its most idealized form, was a cruel deception, a cleverly designed mechanism to perpetuate the relentless cycle of desire, procreation, and suffering. Schopenhauer believed that the will, a primordial, insatiable force, drives all of existence, and that all our actions, our joys, and our sorrows are ultimately directed by this powerful, relentless force. This is a journey into the philosophical minefield of romanticism, questioning the very nature of our desires and the illusions we create to satisfy them. This exploration isn't about finding answers, but about engaging with a complex and challenging perspective. We'll delve into the historical and philosophical context that shaped Schopenhauer's views, examining the core concepts that form the foundation of his philosophy. We'll explore how this perspective challenges conventional ideas about love, happiness, and the human condition. Prepare to confront the uncomfortable reality that the things we hold dear, the things that define our experiences, might be far more complex and potentially far more insidious than we initially perceive. We'll examine the profound implications of this philosophy, exploring its relevance to our own lives, and questioning whether the pursuit of love and connection might, in some ways, be a self-imposed prison. It's a journey into the heart of human experience, a confrontation with the shadows lurking beneath the surface of romantic ideals. Are we truly free to choose our paths, or are we merely puppets dancing to the tune of an unseen, relentless force? Beyond the individual, Schopenhauer's perspective unveils a deeper, more unsettling truth about the human condition. Consider the vast tapestry of human relationships, from familial bonds to romantic entanglements, often woven with threads of expectation and, ultimately, disappointment. This isn't simply a critique of love, it's a profound observation on the nature of desire itself. Desire, Schopenhauer argued, is insatiable, ceaselessly driving us toward objects and experiences that, in the end, leave us wanting more. It's a relentless pursuit that ultimately leads to frustration and a sense of emptiness. This isn't a matter of personal failings, but rather a characteristic of the fundamental drive that propels us. This relentless drive, this will, isn't simply confined to romantic love. It manifests in our ambition, our pursuits of wealth, our cravings for recognition. The desire for achievement, for status, for mastery, all become part of this relentless cycle. Imagine a climber scaling a mountain, driven by the desire to conquer the peak. The summit reached, a fleeting moment of triumph, and the climber is already envisioning the next challenge, the next conquest. This, Schopenhauer argued, is the nature of the will, a never-ending quest for satisfaction that inevitably results in dissatisfaction. Now, consider how this applies when you face a seemingly perfect relationship. The initial infatuation, the passionate declarations, the intoxicating sense of completeness. Yet as time progresses, the initial intensity wanes. Disagreements arise, expectations clash, and the initial idealized image fades. This, for Schopenhauer, isn't a betrayal, but a consequence of the very nature of desire. The initial intensity was fueled by the desire for a perceived fulfillment, a temporary illusion of completeness. This inevitable disillusionment highlights the inherent limitations of our desires and the futility of seeking lasting satisfaction in any particular experience. Furthermore, Schopenhauer's perspective offers a unique lens through which to view the role of beauty in human experience. He saw beauty as a mere catalyst, a tool employed by the will to perpetuate the cycle of desire and reproduction. The exquisite detail of a sunset, the captivating allure of a work of art, these are all, in essence, instruments designed to trigger our desires, to fuel the relentless pursuit. This isn't to diminish the inherent beauty of the world, but rather to recognize the instrumental role it plays in our emotional landscape. The beauty is, in essence, a mechanism employed by the will to propagate itself. This can be seen in the instinctive attraction to the traits that ensure the continuation of the species. In essence, Schopenhauer's philosophy isn't a condemnation of human experience, but a profound exploration of its inherent complexities. It's a challenging perspective, prompting us to question the very nature of our desires, the illusions we create, and the relentless pursuit that often defines our lives. This isn't a call for resignation, but a call for awareness, for understanding. The intricate dance between our desires and the realities that shape our existence. Beyond the individual, Schopenhauer's perspective offers a potent lens through which to view the collective human experience. Consider the societal pressures that mold our choices, the expectations that shape our aspirations. These societal forces, much like the will, exert a powerful influence, often pushing us toward goals and desires that might not align with our true selves. Think of the societal pressure to achieve material success, the relentless pursuit of wealth and status. This relentless drive, echoing the will, often overshadows genuine fulfillment and contentment. Consequently, the pursuit of happiness becomes entangled in a complex web of external expectations. Now, consider how this applies when you face societal pressures to conform. The desire to fit in, to be accepted, can act as a powerful force, shaping our choices and beliefs, sometimes even overriding our individual inclinations. This pressure, like the unseen hand of the will, can lead us down paths that, while seemingly beneficial, ultimately prove unsatisfying. This is not an indictment of society, but a recognition of the pervasive influence of external forces on our internal desires and aspirations. Another crucial layer to consider is the impact of inherited desires and the influence of history. Schopenhauer's philosophy suggests that the collective will transcends individual lives, weaving a thread of continuity through generations. The desires and anxieties of our ancestors, like echoes in a cavernous hall, reverberate in our present. We inherit not only physical traits, but also the persistent patterns of desire, shaping our motivations and predispositions. Consider the generations-long quest for power in a particular family, the relentless pursuit of a legacy, or the inherited anxieties about social standing. These entrenched patterns, deeply embedded in the collective will, exert a potent influence on our individual choices and aspirations. This inherited will can create a cycle of repetition and suffering that extends far beyond a single lifetime. Furthermore, consider the impact of cultural narratives and traditions. Schopenhauer's philosophy suggests that these shared narratives, often imbued with symbolic meaning and emotional weight, can reinforce and perpetuate the will. These narratives, like ancient scripts, guide our behaviors, shape our expectations, and, in some ways, dictate our desires. The romantic ideals of love and loss, for example, are deeply embedded in our cultural consciousness, influencing our expectations and shaping our experiences. They become, in a sense, self-fulfilling prophecies, perpetuating the cycles of desire and disappointment. The enduring power of myths and legends highlights the enduring influence of this collective will on human affairs. In contrast to the perceived individual agency, Schopenhauer's philosophy also highlights the pervasive influence of societal structures. These structures, like the unseen currents of a vast ocean, shape our choices and aspirations, often molding us into predetermined roles. Think of the rigid hierarchies within a corporation, the ingrained expectations within a particular socially class, or the prescribed paths for individuals within a specific community. These established frameworks, often invisible to the naked eye, nonetheless exert a powerful influence on the direction of our lives. Now, consider how this applies when you face a career path largely determined by family expectations or societal norms. The pressure to conform, to follow the well-trodden path, can be immense. While often presented as opportunities, these predefined pathways can, in fact, limit individual growth and potential. This isn't about condemning societal structures. Rather, it's about recognizing their subtle, pervasive impact on our personal journey. Furthermore, Schopenhauer's ideas illuminate the inherent limitations of human rationality. He posited that our reason is often a mere tool of the will, a servant rather than a master. Reason, in this framework, is not a beacon guiding us toward truth and enlightenment, but a tool employed to justify the desires already inherent within us. Think of a person driven by ambition, meticulously crafting a plan for success. While seemingly rational, the driving force behind the plan might be the will itself, the insatiable desire for recognition and power, not necessarily a deliberate, rational decision. Consequently, this view challenges the conventional notion of free will. If our reason is merely a tool of the will, are our choices truly our own? This isn't about denying the existence of agency, but about understanding the complex interplay between our conscious decisions and the deeper, often subconscious forces that drive us. Imagine a ship navigating a turbulent sea. The captain, representing reason, charts the course, but the winds and currents, representing the will, exert a significant influence on the ship's trajectory. The captain can steer, but the elements ultimately play a significant role in the final destination. Building on this, however, Schopenhauer's perspective isn't entirely bleak. It's a call for introspection, a recognition that while the will exerts a powerful influence, we are not mere puppets. We possess the capacity for self-awareness, for recognizing the forces that shape our desires, and for cultivating a measured response. This nuanced understanding allows us to navigate the complexities of human experience with greater awareness and, potentially, a measure of control. We can recognize the currents pushing us and, through conscious awareness, steer our course with greater wisdom and understanding. Instead of focusing solely on the individual, a more nuanced perspective emerges when examining the interplay between the will and societal structures. Consider the role of societal norms in shaping individual desires. These norms, often subtle but powerful, act as invisible filters influencing what we perceive as desirable and achievable. A culture that prioritizes material wealth, for instance, might subtly encourage individuals to pursue financial success above other values. This isn't about moral judgment, but about understanding how cultural contexts can profoundly impact individual aspirations. Now, consider how this applies when you face a career path largely determined by the prevailing values of your social group. The pressure to conform to align with these values can be immense. While often presented as opportunities, these predefined pathways can, in fact, limit individual growth and potential. This isn't about condemning societal structures, it's about recognizing their subtle, pervasive impact on our personal journey. The pursuit of happiness in such a context is often defined by the very structures that claim to support it. Furthermore, This framework extends to the realm of art and creativity. A society that values realism over abstract expression, for instance, might subtly discourage individuals from pursuing unconventional artistic endeavors. The will, in this scenario, is not only driven by internal desires, but also shaped by the prevailing artistic trends and expectations of the time. This underscores the crucial role of cultural influence in determining individual creative expression. Another key element to consider is the concept of historical context. The dominant values and beliefs of a specific era, in turn, heavily influence the will of subsequent generations. A society grappling with war, for example, might prioritize security and stability above other ideals, subtly shaping the aspirations of its youth. Consequently, the will in this context isn't merely an individual imperative, but a product of historical forces and societal pressures. These historical forces, as powerful as the will itself, often define our choices. Consider the impact of propaganda or dominant ideologies. A society saturated with a particular message, whether through media, education, or other means, will likely shape the desires and ambitions of its citizens. In such an environment, the will becomes less about individual choice and more about echoing the collective narrative. The will becomes a reflection of the prevailing societal narrative. Beyond the individual and societal structures, consider the profound influence of our own internal narratives. These narratives, often unspoken and unconscious, shape our perceptions of the world and, in turn, our desires. They act as internal filters coloring our experiences and influencing our reactions. Think of a person raised in a household where failure is met with harsh judgment. Their internal narrative might develop a deep-seated fear of failure, shaping their choices and aspirations in ways they might not even consciously recognize. This internal script, this self-imposed framework, can become a self-fulfilling prophecy, influencing our responses to external stimuli in often predictable and sometimes agonizing patterns. Now, consider how this applies when you face a challenge. Your internal narrative dictates whether you view it as an insurmountable obstacle or a stimulating opportunity. This internal voice, this inner monologue, will significantly influence your resilience and response to the challenge. A person whose narrative emphasizes self-doubt might give up easily, while one whose narrative champions perseverance might find a way to overcome. This inner voice, this internal dialogue, is a powerful force, shaping not just our responses, but also our very definition of success. It's a crucial factor in the ongoing struggle between our inherent desires and the realities of our experience. Furthermore, consider the role of personal history in shaping these internal narratives. Past experiences, both positive and negative, leave indelible marks on our internal landscape. A childhood filled with encouragement might foster a belief in one's own capabilities, while a series of setbacks might instill a deep-seated fear of failure. These experiences, like the layers of a historical document, inform our understanding of ourselves and the world around us, shaping the internal narratives that guide our lives. Consider a budding artist whose early efforts were met with ridicule. Their internal narrative might develop a profound fear of criticism, preventing them from pursuing their passion. Conversely, an artist whose early works received praise might develop a belief in their abilities, leading to a more confident and expressive approach to their art. These internal narratives, shaped by past experiences, become powerful filters, shaping the very paths we choose to follow. Building on this, consider the role of subconscious biases. These biases, often hidden from our conscious awareness, significantly influence our internal narratives. They can lead us to interpret situations in ways that reinforce pre-existing beliefs, even if those beliefs are demonstrably inaccurate. These subconscious biases, like subtle currents beneath the surface, can significantly alter our course, often without us realizing. They can be powerful forces in shaping our desires and ultimately our destiny. From the individual's internal landscape to the grand tapestry of societal structures, the threads of our experiences intertwine, often in complex and unpredictable ways. The ceaseless interplay of these forces, the will, societal norms, internal narratives, and historical context, creates a dynamic, intricate web. Consider this web as a vast, interconnected system where each strand, seemingly independent, is nonetheless bound to the others. Each element influences the others, creating ripples that extend far beyond the immediate. This interplay, this complex dance of influence, ultimately shapes the path we traverse. As we delve deeper into this intricate network, a profound sense of interconnectedness emerges. The individual's internal world, far from being a self-contained entity, is intricately woven into the broader fabric of history and culture. This realization casts a new light on the seemingly disparate elements we've explored. They are not isolated phenomena, but facets of a single, overarching reality. We've traced the interplay between our individual aspirations and the relentless force of societal pressure, the subtle yet profound influence of history, and the internal narratives that shape our perceptions. Reflecting on this journey so far, consider the analogy of a river carving its path through a landscape. The river, representing the individual's journey, is constantly molded by the terrain, the geological forces, and the very water itself. The terrain, in this metaphor, represents societal norms, the geological forces, the historical context, and the water itself, the will. Each element plays a vital role in determining the river's course, its depth, its power. The intricate dance between these powerful forces raises profound questions about the nature of our choices and the extent of our agency. As we pivot towards the final reflection, it becomes clear that while the will exerts a potent influence, the human spirit possesses the capacity for awareness and, potentially, a degree of control. This awareness, this capacity for introspection, becomes a crucial element in navigating the complex interplay of forces that shape our lives. This recognition, this understanding of the interwoven nature of our experiences, is not a prescription for passive acceptance, but rather a catalyst for a more mindful and purposeful existence. Consider this a moment of understanding, a turning point, rather than a destination. Reflecting on this, what implications does this interconnectedness hold for the way we view ourselves and the world around us? The tapestry of human experience, as woven through the threads of our desires, societal expectations, and internal narratives, reveals a profound interconnectedness. We are not solitary figures navigating a predetermined path, but rather intricate nodes within a vast network, constantly influenced by forces both internal and external. Schopenhauer's perspective, while initially appearing bleak, offers a nuanced understanding of this intricate dance, a recognition of the subtle yet powerful forces that shape our choices and aspirations. This understanding is not a call for resignation. Rather, it's an invitation to a deeper, more profound engagement with our lives. It's a call for a more conscious awareness of the forces at play, a recognition that our choices are rarely isolated occurrences, but rather emerge from a complex interplay of influences. We are not simply reacting to the world around us. We are actively participating in its creation, albeit within a framework that is far more extensive and intricate than we might initially realize. Consider the implications of this interconnectedness. If our desires, our aspirations, and our very perceptions are shaped by a complex interplay of forces, what does it mean to truly choose? It doesn't mean abandoning agency, but rather acknowledging the richness and complexity of the landscape in which our choices are made. It's a recognition that our decisions, while undeniably ours, are not isolated acts but are fundamentally interwoven with the fabric of history, culture, and the very will that drives existence. The profound insight, then, isn't about finding a singular answer, but about embracing the inherent ambiguity and complexity of the human condition. It's about accepting that the pursuit of understanding is a continuous journey, an ongoing exploration of the interplay between the self and the world. It's a recognition that our experiences are not isolated events, but part of a larger, more profound narrative. With this understanding, we can approach our lives with greater compassion, empathy, and a deeper appreciation for the intricate tapestry of human existence. The true practice begins now, with a conscious effort to recognize the forces at play and to navigate them with greater understanding and awareness. This isn't about escaping the complexities of life, but about embracing them. It's about recognizing the profound interconnectedness of our experiences, the subtle yet powerful influences that shape our choices, and the profound agency we possess within this intricate dance. It's about accepting the inherent ambiguity of the human condition, not as a source of despair, but as an invitation to a more profound and meaningful engagement with life itself. The journey of self-discovery, therefore, is not a solitary quest, but a collective exploration, a shared understanding of the interconnectedness that defines our human experience.